Good morning guys, my name is Shazanae and today I am going to be doing a review of a palette that I found yesterday at the drugstore. If you've been around with me for a little while or just kind of know this fact about me, I love nude palettes. Like the Naked palette, the Naked 1 palette is one of my favorite palettes. I also have a couple other palettes that I've collected, which this one's from NYX, and then this one is from Maybelline, I believe, Wet n Wild, but they're all nudes. If you can tell, there's just browns and neutrals in there, and those are kind of my go-to palettes. I absolutely love working with nude colors. Once in a while, I mean great while, I will add color. Like recently I've been kind of working with pinks, putting it in the crease and everything, but nudes are definitely my go-to. So I went to the drugstore yesterday after work. I had a little bit of extra money and I'm like, you know what, I haven't browsed a drugstore in a while, and I had been looking for this particular palette in the Target that's closer to me than to my work, but every time I went it was out of stock and it was kind of irritating. Like, my Target is awful with restocking and everything, but I'm actually going out to breakfast. But first I wanted to show you, I got the Nudes palette. This is new from Maybelline, so I'm gonna give you a quick overview of all the colors, and then like I said, I have to go out to breakfast with my friends, so then I'm gonna come back and actually do my makeup with this palette. But I wanted to kind of give you a first review before I do that. But those are all the colors. So it comes with 3, 6, 12 colors. And I kind of, not even swatched it, but I kind of ran my finger over them this morning and I was already impressed with the pigmentation. Drugstore can kind of be a hit or a miss, and I was kind of nervous about this, that it was going to be, like crappy and chalky, but they're actually really pigmented and beautiful. And I love the fact, like, I love matte shadows. I love shimmery shadows for the lid, but I love matte shadows to work in my crease and underneath my lash line. So this has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shimmery shadows, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like 5 matte shadows, but even the matte shadows have a tiny bit of shimmer. Like, I'll show you this black matte one. Well, it comes off a little more matte on your finger, but it does have like the smallest bit of shimmer in it, which isn't a terrible thing to me. It's not like a make or break type of thing, because it does come off extremely matte, especially when compared to the shimmery shadows. So already so far I was really impressed with the payoff of the colors. So I'm gonna give you a quick swatch if I can. My camera's actually gonna die shortly. I'm gonna give you a swatch of each color, and then like I said, I'll come back and actually do a makeup look with it so you can see how it looks on. But I'm gonna start off with this, the lightest shade to the far left of the palette. The next shade is kind of this like grayish brown color, and this one is matte. The next shade is a little bit more of a beigey kind of color. I would definitely use this as a highlight, but it is kind of a matte version. Next color is kind of this coppery brown color, but it's a shimmery color. Next color again kind of falls under the category of being a grayish color. The gray ones I find are the hardest ones to show up, which has been these two so far, but they're really beautiful in person, but they're not going to show up very well on camera. The next color is the darkest color in this row, and it's kind of, it looks like it kind of has like a green, like a very dark green undertone. But again, it's brown, and I would probably use that color more if I'm like going out somewhere, because it is a pretty intense dark color. Next color is in the next row down, and again this kind of is like a coppery shade, but it's not as gold as the other coppery shade. And I actually really love this shade. It's kind of bronzy, and that's my favorite kind of eyeshadows are bronzes, so that actually might end up being like an all over lid color for me. I don't know, we will see when I finally do my makeup. The next color is this dark brown color, and this is a matte. Next color is this gold shimmery. It's actually super shimmery. That would look gorgeous for like the holidays or for New Year's. It's very, very shiny and very gold. Next color is this shimmery brown color. Again, a very dark color. Next one is this lightest color. It's kind of another highlight color, but I don't think it's as like pearlescent as the very first color we tested, but it is definitely gorgeous. And the last color is just the matte black shade, which I already kind of swatched for you, but there it is again. I'm going ahead and I'm going to swatch all the colors on my arm so you can see them all side by side, because it's a little bit difficult to tell the difference when it's just on my finger one at a time. So let me go ahead and do that. So that is the first 6 colors. Some of them aren't showing up as well on camera. I can see them on my skin in person, but I doubt that you guys can. But that is the first row of colors. And that is the second row of 6 colors. These showed up a little bit better. These are a little bit on the darker side. The only one that's not really showing up is that kind of highlighting color all the way to the left. And the gold, it's reflecting. You can definitely see it, but they are the most hard to see on my arm. So overall, I'm pretty excited about this palette. I mean, every color is extremely beautiful. I think the colors that I'm most excited about are the coppery colors, like the bronzy colors, because those are the colors I always typically go to. So I am very excited already about this palette. I hope it doesn't let me down. So I am going to go out to breakfast. When I come back, I'm going to do all of my makeup, all my eye makeup using only this palette to give you a really good idea of is this palette worth it or not. I think it was only maybe, I think it was like $14.99, something like that. So it's definitely not. It's a little bit more expensive than your typical drugstore palette, but it's definitely not like the $50 naked palettes. So this might be a great alternative if you don't want to go out and buy one of the naked palettes. I might actually do like a side-by-side swatch with some of the naked palettes. Maybe I'll do that when I get back to see if there's any dupes for these, because I am most definitely hitting pan on a lot of these colors, and I really don't want to justify going out and spending another $50 because I do not use all the colors on here. So there's a few color, well, there's one color I won't be able to do a dupe on, and that's Smog, which is very depressing because that was my favorite color. So I might just go to Sephora and buy Smog and then do a side-by-side comparison and see if there's any dupes that you can get out of this palette for this palette if you have favorites and don't want to justify buying the whole palette like I don't. So I will be back when I come home and we will do all of that fun stuff. Okay, so I am back from breakfast, and as you see, I did my eye makeup and everything, and I only used the colors from the palette that we are reviewing, and I am actually really excited about this palette. I ended up doing a little bit of a darker eye than I normally would, just because I kind of wanted to experiment with some of the colors. Usually I would do a much lighter color on the lids and then do the crease a much darker color, but I ended up doing a dark color to begin with on the lid, so I did an even darker color on my eyes, and I will show you on the crease. I'll show you the exact colors that I used. So I used this color right here all over my lid. This right here was the crease color. I used this as the highlight color for my brow bone, and my inner tear duct. I used this color here for the bottom outer lash line. And then I used this color again for the very corner, and then I just did my typical black eyeliner and everything. But I am beyond thrilled with this palette. I mean, it doesn't have, you know, every single color that I would use but I absolutely love it and I can see myself using it every day. There wasn't much fallout at all, and that's something that I definitely pay attention to with palettes, because I hate fallout, because I always do my foundation and face makeup before my eye makeup, and when I used to use palettes that had a lot of fallout, I'll kind of switch my routine and do my eyes first and then get rid of all the fallout and then go over foundation. But I like doing my face before my eyes. I like my eyes to be the last thing. So I'm really, really excited about this palette. I feel like you can easily go from an everyday look to even this look I might actually consider like a nighttime look for me, because it is a little bit darker than what I normally would use, but it definitely is wearable for the day. It's just not something that I typically go for, but I really do like it. But now I have, you saw me kind of holding this dome brush. I'm gonna compare these colors to my Naked palette, which is also another one of my favorite palettes, and see if we can pull any dupes out of here. Because like I explained in the beginning of the video, if you like only a certain color from the Naked palette and don't want to purchase another $50 palette, maybe you can purchase a $14 palette and get some of the colors that you really enjoy out of here. So I'm going to kind of swatch and do side-by-side comparisons and see if we come up with any dupes. Okay, so the first dupe that I found was the color Sin, and it is most like this color right here. They're both on the matte shade. I did do a swatch, but they're extremely light, and actually, yeah, they're even hard for me to see in person, but that's actually pretty close. I think Sin from the Naked palette, it just has a tiny bit more of a pinky undertone than this color does. This one is more of like that true beige undertone, but they are so similar, and the finish of both of them is almost identical. I can almost not tell the difference. Like I said, just one is slightly, maybe, I think Sin is slightly lighter and a little bit pinkier than the other one, but they're definitely a dupe for one another. I feel like if you put one on one day and another the other day, you would not be able to tell the difference. So that is the first dupe I found. Okay, so don't mind all the swatches on my hand, I am comparing them, but I found another dupe, which one is Toasted, which Toasted is this color right here in the Naked palette, and that would be that swatch right there. This is Toasted, and then this color came from, it's actually what's all over my lids, and it's that corner dark color. That's the color that I was kind of saying was kind of bronzy. Toasted is just a little bit more, they're both shimmery. Toasted, I would say, is a tiny bit darker than the color that I used, and a little bit more of a kind of purpley pink undertone, where this color right here is more of a true coppery color. But as you can tell in my hand, they are both extremely similar to one another, and I think you could get away with using this color right here if you run out of Toasted and you don't want to go buy it by itself. Okay, the second pair that I found are not exact, but they are very, very similar, and that would be Hustle, which is this dark color right next to Toasted. It's like a dark chocolatey brown, and that was most like this color right here in the palette, and if you can see, that's those two. And obviously they're not exactly the same. Like this one is kind of more of like a burnt brown, where this one is more of a chocolatey brown, and this one was the one from the Naked palette. So this is Hustle, and then this is the one from the Nudes. Obviously they're a little bit different brown, but I feel like they definitely give that same kind of payoff. And I feel like if you were to kind of smudge out Hustle a bit, let me try to smudge it out, make it not as intense. Yeah, it starts to look more and more like, I wish these colors had a name, but it starts to look more and more like that color. So if you kind of like Hustle but want more of a burnt kind of brown, then definitely this would be a good alternative. Okay, so again, these ones aren't dupes, so ignore that color. But those two aren't even close to being dupes, but they are both in the gray family. The one to the right is Gunmetal from the Naked palette, which is this dark gunmetal gray color. And then the second one is, where is it? I lost it. I think it's that one. It is that dark gray from this palette, and it's definitely not similar, but I wanted to show you guys that because I like using grays in my eye makeup, but I feel like Gunmetal is a little too intense for me, especially during the daytime. So if you want to tone down the grays a little bit, I would try out that gray from the Naked palette. It's not as shimmery. Actually, it's like a matte shade. So this very tiny little shimmer in it, where Gunmetal is much more shimmery than this color. So if you want to try out gray but you kind of want to tone it down, it actually has a little bit of a brown undertone too, so it's not like a true gray, but I would definitely give this one a try, and I might actually try it even in an everyday look and see if I can kind of make it wearable, whereas Gunmetal, I really don't think I can ever really pull it off during the day unless it's already going to be just kind of a dramatic look. And the last two colors that I'm gonna give a try, I wanted to try to dupe, where was it? Sin with one of the colors, because I remember what Sin looked like, but I don't have it anymore to compare it to one of these colors, but I know that Sin was actually very similar to one of these colors, so like me, this came in handy because I actually really liked Sin as a lid color, and I realized that I was calling this one that I was duping, I was calling that one Sin, but it's actually Virgin. How ironic. So Sin I'm actually missing, Virgin is the one that I was swatching. But the last ones that I want to compare is Creep, which is this dark black color to this black matte color. Obviously one's going to be shimmery, one's going to be matte, but I just want to see how they compare with like potency, how they come out, again, fallout, all that stuff. So I will do a quick swatch of those two and show you what that looks like. Okay, so I'm glad that I compared these two because as you see, this one is Creep from the Naked palette, and this is the matte shade from the Nudes palette. Obviously Creep is much darker, and I did not like pack on Creep. Both of these were like 2 swipes. Excuse me, but I actually don't really care too much for the black color in the Nudes palette because it comes off extremely chalky. All the other colors come off really nicely, but the black is super chalky. But I kind of like that it's also not as intense as Creep is. So I could even, I'm a little bit afraid of black eyeshadow, even if I'm going out for the night and want to do a little bit more of a dramatic look. Creep is, it's very opaque even the first time you put it on, so it does take a lot of blending. If you put it on too dark, it's a little bit, you can't really go back from it, where I feel like the black from the Nudes you can kind of build up more than Creep. Once it's on, it's kind of on. So that looks really bizarre. I'm probably gonna want to wash that off before I go to work because although the colors are really pretty. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I actually was not planning on trying to find dupes between these two palettes, but like I said, I am obsessed with nude palettes. I'm always looking for new ones, always looking for better ones. I have actually not tried the Naked 2 or the Naked 3. Probably go for more for the Naked 3 because I really like the rose gold aspect of it, but I am obsessed with Naked. I'm obsessed with nude palettes, and I'm really glad I bought this, but I feel like still with this palette there's some colors in here that I cannot find in here, and vice versa. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. You can also subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. I do everything from beauty to DIYs to just silly videos to tags to Minecraft to everything. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.